assigned to the TV. I'd like to call a joint meeting of the Committee of Infrastructure and Board of Public Works to order. It's September 30th, 2025. It's a joint meeting being held at the Board of Public Works building. It's been notified in two places in accordance with the RSA. It's 5:30 p.m. And with the clerk, please call the roll.
Absolutely. Mayor Donchis,
Here.
Commissioner Manny-Espicius,
Presente.
Commissioner Matthew Gregg, Commissioner June Lemon,
Here.
Commissioner Paul Shea,
Present.
Alderman Chris Tivido,
Here.
Alderman John Sullivan,
Here.
Alderman Clee is here, Alderman Dowd,
Present.
and Alderman at Large Michael O'Brien.
Alderman O'Brien couldn't be here this evening, so I'll be chairing the meeting. Also in attendance is Tim Cummings, Administrative Service Director, Lisa Foto, Director of Public Works. Okay. General introductory remarks.
There are
None.
none. There are none at this time.
Public comment, there's no public, so there's none. Approval of minutes, Alderman Clee.
At this time, I motion to approve the minutes of the August 28th, 2025 meeting.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve the minutes of the August 28th, 2025 meeting. Place them on file. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. General progress update, DPW garage project. I'd like to recognize Director Tim Cummings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm actually going to hand it right over to Joe Sullivan, the owner's project manager, so he can walk us through a project status update.
Great, thank you, Mr. Cummings. I'm going to give you a brief update with both projects. It's Division of Public Works and the wastewater treatment facility. The first really task completed, the project team, we're meeting weekly. We meet in-house within the city of Nashua, as well as the architectural team and the CM at risk. Bode Construction is the pre-engineered building that we're trying to coordinate with HKT. They're meeting regularly with each step of the way. We're going through the design aspects of the building to make sure that it's not only meeting the expectations of the architect, but meeting the city's needs. AOT, zoning, planning board submissions have taken place by the civil engineer IMEG. A cost estimation is complete. We've using the latest design development from HKT. Harvey's Left Field are in the process of refining these numbers to minimize costs, because every estimator, looks at specific details within plans and specifications, as well as the estimator from another group, so we try to reconcile that at the end. Sanborn Head is currently engaged to assist with the planning and permitting of the project because of the site conditions. We've performed the hydrant flow tests have been completed on West Holliston Street and Teague Drive to determine water pressure for the sprinkler system. The project design, it shows, the existing building, and then we show the additions that are going on to it with the maintenance facility, the addition to the admin area and the vehicle storage. We also show on the plan the salt bay that's incorporated, as well as some other aspects that are necessary for the operations and program. Next steps, we're currently working closely to refining the cost estimate, along with the prices of equipment for the building and being finalized for the city, just to make sure that whatever they're requiring for the operations and opening, we're going to have a cost associated with that, so that it's within our budget. Both engineers continue to meet to collaborate on the project. Our project team continues to coordinate to refine the building materials and finishes. We want to make sure we stay within budget. That's what it comes down to. IMEG, the project civil engineer, has begun the permitting. We have the sewer connection permit planned for 10/1 for submission. Necessary teams are at planning and zoning means as required. We're attending the conservation as needed. And then the EPA storm construction permit notice of intent will be filed prior to construction. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Tim.
Thank you. So just a couple other points that I'd like to make relative to the project. First, I want to talk a little bit about timeline. So keeping this project on track schedule-wise is paramount to us, and there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot that still needs to be done. Moving of the fire training facility, continuing with the permitting, continuing with the design. All these are major efforts, and we are working towards that so we can, ideally start construction for end of spring, early summer of next year. And so, to keep this project on track, I just want to kind of tease out a couple items. First and foremost, we're working off of the last tranche of funds that we have available, so there's a bond pending for $5.5 million. It's in committee right now. I asked for it to go back to committee because Director Photo and I are going to give a presentation to the full Board of Aldermen. I anticipate probably sometime in early November. I'm working with Donna to coordinate schedules on that. I want to bring everyone's attention to that because I think that's a really important meeting that we have to ensure that we're on the right trajectory for this project. And I think you'll be pleased when you see through that presentation the work that we've done and how we're trying to maneuver this project forward with all the various constraints that we have. And so one of those issues that have arisen that I just wanted to flush out in a little bit more detail to ensure that Joe and I understand it correctly is this idea of a cost-benefit analysis. And so if anyone here wants to give us some insight into what you're looking for relative to a cost-benefit analysis, I've heard from some members of the Board of Aldermen that this is something they're very interested in seeing. It's something that we want to try to help develop. I think it's something we can do. It will be part of our conversation that we have over the next few weeks, but we haven't had any real public conversation on this cost-benefit analysis concept. This is a newer concept. I assume by this conversation that this is something that, that is going to be required of all building projects moving forward, to treat everyone equitably. But again, I'm hearing this now that this is something that is being looked for. We want to make sure we get it right. So we're going to be developing a scope, and if anyone has any input, I'd welcome that detail. So anyway, so that's something that I wanted to put out there to the group now for a conversation. But otherwise, circling back to how I started, really this is making sure we keep this project on track so we can start construction for this summer and ensuring that we do everything that we need from a due diligence perspective to be able to do that appropriately.
I think there's a lot of aspects to a cost-benefit analysis. One of the biggest ones, though, is if we have this building and a cleaning bay, how much does that save our equipment? And we save in surf over the years. You could look out 5 years, 10 years. There are other aspects as well. So, Alderman Cleen?
Thank you. I just want to piggyback on that statement. I think, a lot of my conversations that I have with people, and they say, well, why do we need this building? And so on. And after having talked to Director Photo and so on, and I see the wear and tear on our vehicles just because they're not housed and so on. So cost-benefit analysis in my book is how can we get extra life out of these vehicles, much what Alderman Dow just said, and how can we save maintenance on it, because you're not having to maybe do the tires for as much for the rot and the weather and so on. So I think that is going to be a big cost-benefit analysis in my book anyway. So.
Okay, thank you.
Annie?
Thank you. Yeah, I think especially us on the Board of Public Works just approved quite a few purchases for some surf vehicles, or some vehicles to surf. And, one of the things we talked about was definitely like undercarriage and how salt basically deteriorates these vehicles. And I just think like the long haul, it would be good for folks to see, especially comparing what we have now, like in our current garage, where we are like, blades of snow machines are basically clipping the entrance to the garage every time, and like basically in wells that really are not safe anymore. And so I think it'd be good for a cost-benefit analysis so folks can see what current conditions are like versus what would happen if we had improved conditions.
And so to that point, not just on equipment, but also improved conditions on the facility as well,
yes.
and how you can maximize efficiencies and
Right.
whatnot, and
safety.
and flexibility for operational improvements is also something I'm assuming the group is going to want spoken to. Okay.
Alderman Sullivan?
Thank you. I'd like to put a finer point on it if I could, and I think when you look at the amount that the building is projected to cost, it from what I remember, please correct me if I'm wrong, about $54 million.
Yep.
What I'd like to see is understanding that we're gonna bond the money and that the building will clearly outlive the length of the bond,
Mhm.
clearly. I
Mhm.
think that's a check mark in the
Mhm.
box, I get
Mhm.
it. However, when you look to expend 54 million, in the savings that we're talking about, how soon do you see the savings pay for the building? Meaning, instead of 15 trucks over the next 10 years, we're only gonna buy 5. In different metrics like that, to say, okay, how do we do that, how do we do that? I think the other piece that I'd like to see on this as well is in your projection, perhaps you could help out with this, Mr. Sullivan, is preventative maintenance on the building. Because it goes above and beyond the 54 million. So if you expect this to be 20 years, what is that preventative maintenance cost gonna be 20 years, 30 years down the road? Once the bond is paid for, the building is up and running, what is the, if you will, all-in package that we're looking for this building?
Bill Linkley?
Thank you. I like what Alderman Sullivan had to say, but when we're looking at that all-in package, we also have to take into consideration what was the cost of maintaining the current building, if we get rid of that too. So
Yep.
that's kind of an offset kind of cost. So while we're looking at what is the overall maintenance of a new building, what would have been the cost of trying to keep, and people's safety can't be enumerated as far as dollars are concerned, but that has to be high on our list. So his
Okay.
points are, I think, are great.
Mr.
but
Sullivan?
Look at that too.
Mr. Chair, I concur with everybody's comments. One of the aspects that we really need to look at is cost of operations as well. So the cost of operations of the current facility versus the new is gonna be drastically different. And that has to be correlated in the overall cost of not only the preventive maintenance, I mean, there's gonna be costs of maintaining the building to project its longevity. That's an easy analysis to do. As the building ages, it obviously increases with any other particular building. But the cost of operating the original building we have to do an analysis on that to show the comparison from one to the other. And the overall cost of operating that building is gonna go up a little bit because of the size of the building as well. So that all has to be in the consideration.
Yeah, I also do think that as we build and design the building, we build it to be energy efficient.
However, there'll be more,
More
efficiency in
space,
lighting,
so-
there'll be more efficiency in
Right.
HVAC, so there will be, people, some, at times can be, unaware of that. And most of the time, I make sure the electrical engineer and the mechanical engineer gives us some forecasting of what the operation costs are gonna be, so that the city can project it appropriately over the next 5 to 10 years
Okay.
as you move forward.
Any other questions, comments? Director Shea?
So I would kind of jump in with the quality of working conditions, not just safety, but also air quality, which ties to safety. What are the air quality versus, air quality differences in the old building versus the new building, air management. The lighting conditions, how is that going to change? The safety, it generally, yes, is important. I think maybe tapping into the superintendent of fleets and director photo with insights on a more, not necessarily quantitative, but a qualitative analysis of what those working conditions are going to be and how it's going to change. That kind of thing affects morale. It affects the quality of someone's working experience and the day-to-day. And I think not just energy utilization, but also identifying what the different sources of the power for this building and the heat for this building are going to be, and how that is different from the old building, where this is going to be sited here. And we have access to the waste heat and the methane from the landfill, and whether or not this building is suited to receive solar panels at some point in the future. That may not be part of the the current appetite, and it may not make sense with tariffs and things, but whether or not there is some future opportunity. I know Alderman Sullivan had brought this up, if solar might be an option for this building. And I think that that's something that, even if we're not doing today, it's something that we should consider whether or not we are preparing this building to receive it. I think that's all I've got.
I think as we go through the design process, a lot of those things will shake out. Do you have any other analysis, or you? All right, we'll go through the invoices. Alderman Clee.
I motion to approve HTK Architects Incorporated services through 50% construction documents in the amount of $444,015.
Did I miss one?
Did I miss one? I apologize. I did, I'm sorry. I was on the wrong page. I motion to approve Leftfield LLC Owner's Projects Manager Services through August 31st, 2025 in the amount of $26,500.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm sure Mr. Sullivan wanted to get paid.
Yeah.
Sure it did.
Now you can go.
Okay, this time I will motion to approve HKT's Architects Incorporated services through 50% construction documents in the amount of $444,015.
Motion is to approve the HKT Architects Services. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Clooney.
At this time, I'd like to motion to approve and extend Leftfield LLC OPM services through November 2025 in the amount of $53,000.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve and extend Leftfield LLC OPM Services through November 25 in the amount of $53,000. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Did you already do the wastewater?
We
or you-
haven't, that's next,
All right.
and we can take 2 minutes and do that.
There you go.
We're good?
Yep.
All right, I'd like to give you a quick update on the wastewater maintenance facility. So the good news is, back in June, we did and as I reported earlier, we did a full questionnaire of all the stakeholders in a design charrette, just to determine what the program needs are gonna be. Lisa Photo, the director, was there, along with myself and the team of HKT, HDR, equipment consultants, and IMEG, civil engineers. Information of the questionnaire was clarified and refined to design a program. That program was presented to the city. The city went through that entirely and then did some revisions to it. We also toured the existing facility in site. As you can see, there's some notes and some photos associated with both of those. The progress of the charrette, we ended up coming up with some, and basically with a charrette, you come up with the number of program, and it's boxes that you put together to make sure the configuration can fit the site restraints. As you can see, there's a number of different versions of how that building might fit on that site. That's still being refined in the design access. We all have to remember that it's a occupied site, and the operations of that cannot be altered in any shape, way, or form as we're doing this. So Lisa's done a phenomenal job with her team just to kind of coordinate how the best use of that building will be on that site, and along with the access points as we move forward. Vehicle circulation clearances were studied. We're doing traffic analysis at how that gets done. A conceptual floor plan and sketch to the adjacencies of the room sizes was done. That's all being looked at. We're looking at more efficiencies and flexibility within the space, and more to come with that as we move forward. Programming and conceptual designs, it just gives you an idea of, the size of the building that was projected based on the program. That's been refined since. It's being modified. Lisa's looking at other uses within the facility to determine, where some of the vehicle storage could go while this building's being designed and constructed. And with that, comments have all been received. We're basically going through the dialogue from the city and HKT's recommendations and trying to refine it to a more concise building so that we can minimize the costs to the overall project.
And just for clarification for the public, this is a maintenance facility, not a parking garage.
Correct.
And this is also being funded by
The wastewater.
wastewater
funds,
fees.
yeah. And so there will be a little bit of storage for this particular building, the back trucks especially. They're in a significant expense, and, you know, they're best housed indoors, and their longevity, if we were all talking about a cost benefit, that is definitely one piece of equipment that necessarily needs to be stored within the.
That's a couple very, very expensive pieces
Well,
of
that's the reason
equipment.
why I brought it up. That's the importance of having a little bit of vehicle storage. within
Any
these
questions?
facilities.
Alderman Sullivan?
Thank you. I was just looking at the site and thinking ahead. No, this is fine. Just when construction starts, if you can see that it is a pretty residential area, I mean, do you see any disruption for the homes? I mean, this is a different situation. You have West Hollis Street, which is a larger road, well-trafficked road. That is more tucked away in the back of do you see any issues with residents and things like that?
It's a great question. So the answer is, I think there will be an impact at some point, you know, any type of construction, when you're adjacent to it. We are planning on having butters meetings. We'll end up sending a notice to all the butters. We actually, part of our process is to give out weekly updates to the butters so they know what they expect for conditions of construction as we move forward, whether it's vehicles, traffic flow, deliveries. So they'll be well informed about all of the activities, and we're planning on having a number of these public forums so that if anyone's got any questions or concerns, I want them to have a number. It's Lisa's number. I want them to make sure they contact us.
They'll contact me anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to add to that, Alderman Sullivan, that is something that I was very concerned about.
Yeah.
And there was another driveway that was proposed that was close to one of the residents, and I asked for us to only have one driveway and have it be very close to where the current driveway is, so that we're not impacting any residents.
That is a great
But we will inform them, and I think any impact there'll be still a very significant buffer, so I think that the impact will be very minimal.
So the city and myself personally have a lot of experience in this regard. We built a new school right next to some hugely expensive houses. In fact, I hand-delivered notifications to all the abutters before we started, and it went fairly well. We didn't have that many issues with abutters.
Being transparent and informative is the best policy
Yep.
when it comes to working next to anybody. So.
Any other questions? Review? Alderman Cleen.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to motion to approve Left Field LLC Owner's Project Manager Services through August 31st, 2025, in the amount of $26,500.
Motion on the floor is approve Left Field LLC Owner's Project Managers Services through August 31st, 2025, in the amount of $26,500. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Wastewater Treatment Facilities Approval Contract is none. Other expenditures for approval, none. Old business, none. Alderman Clee,
If I may, Mr. Chair, just.
not on the agenda.
Well, we have a tentative date of October 29th.
Oh, okay.
That's a Wednesday. If you want to keep it on the schedule of the Board of Public Works, I think they meet on Thursdays, and would it be the 30th?
Sorry, let me check that. No, it would be the 23rd.
The 23rd. So if it's the pleasure of the group to do it on the 23rd or the 29th.
And can we have it at 5 o'clock?
Only because you've got joint special.
Yes, I
Yeah.
always have joint special on
So,
the 4th.
so we'll do it on Thursday, the 23rd at 5 o'clock. If,
5 o'clock or immediately
Or-
following.
well, I need to make sure that that's okay.
Not before 5 o'clock.
No, not before, but just in case we,
You
the
go
Board
to
of Public Works
5:15.
goes a little longer.
5 o'clock or after the,
Yeah.
yeah, all right.
Is there something after that meeting for the Board of Aldermen,
Gonna be
like a committee?
5:15?
Joint Special School Building Committee,
At 7 o'clock, yeah.
which is in a whole other facility.
I'll let you know.
Any,
Thanks.
Thank you.
all set?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Alderman Clee.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, before I call for adjournment, I'd just like to say that we've received notification from Chris Garino that his father passed away last night. Ray Garino.
Ray Garino.
He meant a lot to a lot of us in the city, so.
All right,
Yes, I'd like to motion for adjournment.
motion on the floor is to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We're adjourned at 5:55.
And then